Hey folks, today we're going to make a pumpkin pie from an actual pumpkin. Now, some of you might say you don't like pumpkin pie, and if you've only had a, quote, pumpkin pie made with that pumpkin slop that comes out of a can, you've never had a real pumpkin pie. So this is what they look like. They're a lot smaller than the decorative pumpkins. So start preheating your oven to 400 and slice it in half, but don't start on the stem. I didn't know that. This is the first one I've ever made. So it cuts pretty easily. Just get in there, make sure you don't chop your hand off. And then we're going to scoop out all the guts of the pumpkin, just scrape it. All the pumpkin seeds, all that extra goo. Just get rid of it, throw it away. I guess you could roast the pumpkin seeds, but I don't know anybody that ever has done that. Now this pumpkin at my local Publix, I believe, was $7, so it's definitely more expensive than the can of slop that you get out of a can, but absolutely worth it. The flavor difference is incredible. Just trust me on this. I had never had a real pumpkin pie before. Didn't like pumpkin pie, I thought, but this is absolutely delicious. So I sped up the video for time's sake, but basically scrape out all of the goo, all of those little fuzzy things, all of the seed. It's going to take a few minutes. It's a little bit of work. He had to scrape a little harder than I would have anticipated, but again, it's all well worth it. Now, once you got everything scraped out, go ahead and spread some oil, some olive oil on it, and then just a heavy pinch of salt on both. I probably put too much oil on it, and I used a big baking sheet to make sure that you just catch everything else that's going to fall out and ooze out. I'm really in unexplored territory here. So super easy to bake. Baked it for about 45 minutes to an hour. Came out. It's very tender at this point. Then I just take a fork, poke some holes in my pie crust, and throw that in the oven while it's still hot. I want to pre-bake my pie shell just a little bit. Now we get to disassemble the pumpkin. It peels right. The skin just peels off. It's very easy. Now there were a couple of burnt ends directly on the bottom where it was in contact with the pan. I just cut that off. But all in all, this was a really easy process. It was kind of like peeling peeling a vegetable, peeling a peach maybe, where the skin just falls off. Very easy to do. Random pumpkin fact: every September, Cooperstown, New York, has a pumpkin fest where they have the largest pumpkin contest, but then these guys carve it out and race their pumpkins in the pumpkin regatta across Lake Otsego. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. Absolutely hilarious to watch. Right here, I'm just chopping up the pumpkin flesh so that I can put it in a measuring cup and measure it accurately. We're going to put it into a mixer, and that will grind it up a lot better. All right, we need 2 cups of pumpkin to start with. And that took up most of the pumpkin that this entire pumpkin produced for us. Then I'm going to stab a can of evaporated milk and pour that in there. Now we add 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. If I did this recipe again, I'd probably add a full cup. I think you could use just a little bit of extra sweetening. And we're going to crack open 2 large eggs. In hindsight, I probably should have grated the cinnamon directly onto a plate and then measure that out. But I need a tablespoon of ground cinnamon. I went with the fresh stuff because fresh is always better. The reason I say I should have ground this over a plate or cutting board is a few larger pieces got into the mix, and it was fine. It was good. It was just a little odd to find a tiny little stick in your pie. Then we're going to add a teaspoon of nutmeg, and I think I said a tablespoon of cinnamon. It's actually a teaspoon of cinnamon. Remember, and then a teaspoon of ground ginger. Remember, 3 teaspoons equals a tablespoon. We'll put our paddle back on, and we're just going to mix this for a few minutes. Didn't show all of it, but just mix it up until you feel like it's mixed well. There will be lumps, that's fine, but mix it up, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes should do the trick. While you're mixing, try to clean up a bit. I can really make a mess in the kitchen, just ask my wife. All right, after 3 or 4 minutes of that mixing up, set it on level 2, I believe. Just pour your mix directly in the pan, and remember we toasted the pie shell beforehand, and pour it in and bake for about 45 minutes, and this pie was absolutely incredible, far better than any pie I've ever had that came out of a can. So correction, I said bake it for 45 minutes. It wasn't quite done at 45 minutes at 350 degrees, so keep in mind we had our oven set for 400. Go ahead and pull that down to 350, and it took it about an hour. So just use the old knife test, stick it in the middle, comes out clean. Now we get to eat. We really should wait till refrigerate overnight, but I can't wait to have a piece of this. And again, folks, this was absolutely incredible. Far better than I could have ever expected. Far better than anything that came out of a can. Whipped cream doesn't need a reason. So, guys, if you've enjoyed this video, I ask you to hit the like button. It really helps us out. And go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Really helps our ratings. And enjoy.